Hey guys, xSilent here with another video. I've decided to try to make a video on how to help people get out of low elo since I've noticed that's a thing that a lot of people have trouble with. This series is going to be all about jungling in low elo. I think that jungle is by far the best role to play in low elo since you can set all your teammates ahead and cause the enemy teammates to feed. And in low elo, often ganking a lane enough will just cause them to tilt and lose the game. Also, there is a big difference between a good jungler and a bad jungler, and if just improving your decision making slightly will be enough to catapult you a league or two. This first video of the series is going to be about ganking. Ganking is something that every jungler has to know how to do, and doing it can alone win or lose a game. Ganking enough lanes at the right times and getting enough of an advantage will win you almost all of your games. On the other side, failing too many ganks will cause you to fall really far behind and will often cause you to lose the game. This is something that I see low elo junglers having a lot of problem with, and in this video I'm going to hope to help improve your decision making on when to gank, where to gank, and when not to gank. Let's start with the early game. In the early game, ganks can be very important. This is probably the most important times when ganks will mean the difference between a win or a loss. Ganking one lane early, or respectively having one of your lanes ganked and losing early, is often enough to snowball the entire game. This is why you always need to be on your toes. When deciding where to gank early, you need to first take into account the lane matchups. In this game on your screen, you can see that I have a Jace versus Cho'Gath top, LeBlanc versus Zed mid, and I have Annie Jinx bot versus my Sivir Thresh. Now, looking at these champions, which seems the easiest to gank? Looking bot, I already started bot side and I'm at really low HP. Probably not going to be able to go there since I don't have level 3. So I'll save that for later on in the game, since they are mobile and don't have many escapes. If I look mid lane, I can see that it's a Zed. He always has his shadow, and once he gets level 6, he has his ult. Although he is getting low, so I may want to look mid in case he uses his shadow to overextend. I'm going to clear blue, and then I look top. Top is pushing way away from our tower. While this means I don't have a very good opportunity, it means the enemy jungler could choose to gank if he wants to. Now that I see that I feel like the enemy jungler is going to go top, I'm going to press tab and see what jungler it is. I put a ward here in case he ganks. I'm ready to counter jungle, and then I check the tab and I realize, oh, I am jungling against a Master Yi. Master Yis, in most cases, tend to play the early game very passively. This means that I should not gank as it will be a waste of my time, and since my mid lane already got a kill on the overextended Zed, I'm not going to go there. Now, if the enemy jungler had been someone more aggressive, like let's say a Pantheon or a Lee Sin, they would have almost always been top. I say almost always because sometimes people will do weird clears and start top or gank bot and mid first. Majority of the time though, you can expect the enemy jungler to go top at level 3 after clearing their 2 buffs. Now, when you know the enemy jungler is going top and you want to gank, you have to first look at the matchup. It will be a 2v2, look at your top lane, and look at the enemy top laners. In this case, it was Evelynn and Jace versus Cho'Gath and enemy Master Yi. Master Yi early game and Cho'Gath early game damage is very poor, while Jace and Evelynn have pretty high. This is why I went for it, because I knew we could beat them 2v2. I'll give some examples of what you should be looking out for. If the enemy has a lot of crowd control or a lot of damage and you don't, this is when you should not gank. Examples of this are, let's say, Fiddlesticks jungle and Riven top. Fiddlesticks will fear you and Riven will kill you, and then it will be 1v2 for whoever doesn't get killed. An example of a good lane to gank would be if the enemy had, let's say, Maokai jungle and Vladimir top. Not very high damage, and if you had a Pantheon top and your Lee Sin jungle, a lot of CC and damage you can rely on. I'm assuming you get the picture, and if you still don't, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Now, after this important early game ganking stage, you're going to have to transition into the mid game. If you get a lead, it'll be a lot easier, but you can still do it if you're behind. In the mid game, there's a lot more complications to ganking. People will have their ults, they'll have more spells, their summoner spells will probably be back off cooldown, and it's just generally more complicated since there'll be objectives like dragon and towers to worry about. When ganking in the mid game, there are a couple of main factors you have to think about. Is the lane easy to gank? This means, does my lane have a lot of CC? And does the enemy lane have CC? Do they have escapes? Examples, LeBlanc W, Zed Shadow. You get the picture. Another thing to think about is, if I gank, what will the enemy do? Always try to be keeping track of the enemy teammates that are not in your vision, in your mind. An obvious example is the jungler. If you were the jungler on the enemy team, where would you be right now? If it's the second dragon's about to come up and you're ganking top, you know the enemy jungler is going to go to dragon and take it while you're there. Is it really worth it? Does the enemy top have an escape that can make your gank worthless and then just give the enemy team dragon free? Things like this are things you actually have to think about when you're jungling. Alright, now that you have a little bit of insight on how to know where to gank, when to gank, and when not to gank, I'm going to actually tell you how to do the individual ganks and what mechanics you can do to make sure you have the highest chance of doing a successful gank. Firstly, a successful gank does not always mean a kill. If you burn the enemy flash, put a lot of damage to them, force them out of lane, that is also a successful gank. Anything that makes life easier for your laners and applies pressure on the map. As a jungler, your main resource is pressure. Not levels, not gold, but pressure. If you have a lot of pressure on the map, the enemy laners will be scared when you're not even close. The enemy top will be being passive when you're bot. This is the kind of pressure you want. So if you go to a lane and burn a flash, you can always come back and kill them. This is what you should be looking for. Not always to go for greedy kills, but to get as best of a gank as you can. Now I'm going to break down a couple of ganks from this low elo game that you can apply. These people are about mid to high silver. After taking red buff here, I look mid. I see Zed is low, he's overextending. Although he does have shadow and all, I am positive that he will waste it, as most low elo players do. So I walk up with my invisibility. I know that ward most likely didn't see me, or if it did, he doesn't show it. He's going back in, and I go around the side with the invisibility. Here I am. I don't go in right away because I know that he probably has vision on Thresh and is scared, and he still has the ult and the shadow. So I ping her to go in, and she goes for the chain. He wastes the shadow and then the ult here, so I go in. I use my ult, I hit for the red buff, I use my E, I keep chasing him, and I finish him off with a Q. That is a prime example of waiting for them to use their escapes and important cooldowns and then going in with all your stuff. If they don't use their dashes right away, but you think they're very overextended, you can always wait for them to use their dash and then jump to them. For example, if you're ganking with Lee Sin, save your Q until they jump away and Q to them. As you may have noticed, I kept the video playing because I instantly went to another gank. I saw bot lane was getting destroyed. Although my AD carry did die, I still could be salvageable. While I don't go in right away with the initial Thresh Lantern because it's a stupid engage, seeing the fact that we don't have surprise and Thresh is very low and I'm not going to be able to 1v2 and he was stunned and Jinx with a lot of damage. So I circle around and I know they will overextend. This is a good example of knowing your limits and knowing what you can do and what you can't do on a champion. I knew that I would not be able to kill them initially due to anti-stun and Jinx damage, but I knew that if I caught them off guard, I could surprise them with my burst as long as I focused down Jinx first. Alright guys, so that's it on my first segment on low elo jungling, ganking. If you liked it, please leave a comment and subscribe. Tell me what I can do better, ask for tips. In this video, I didn't cover all the things that a good jungler needs to do. This is just a start, and if you want to see the rest of the things in the series, I have planned other videos such as objective control, jungle efficiency, starting jungle, champion select, etc. Just leave some support for the video and it will let me know if you want me to continue the series. I'm also going to be uploading a lot more montages and highlights in the future, so stay tuned. Alright guys, thanks.